Hey guys, Pedro here to do an album review, and today I'm here to talk to you guys about Amorphis' brand new album, Queen of Time. The band's 13th studio album comes out May 18th on Nuclear Blast, and this is an absolute incredible masterpiece of an album. Since the first single came out, I've been saying that this is perhaps one of the greatest metal albums of 2018, if not the greatest metal album of 2018. I know that there are still a lot of albums to come out. The year is still young, but there's going to have to be something really special to really dethrone this album in my mind, in my eyes, in my ears from that number one spot. I really love this album. I really think it's unique, it's fresh. It shows a different side of Amorphis that we haven't seen up until now. They really brought new elements to the table that they've never used in their albums before, and all of these pieces combined really allows them to have an album that shows growth in the band, that shows perhaps a new path that they want to take with this band and new roads that they wanted to travel down. So this to me is really an album of growth, that has new elements that really allow the band to expand their sound and perhaps really take that sound to the next level, and even change the way their live sound, the way their live sets, the way their live performances are played and put together, because this album really offers a lot of new elements that we haven't seen from Amorphis in the past. Now, let's get right into it. The album has 10 tracks and it's 58 minutes in length. Honestly, I didn't notice the fact that it was 10 tracks for 58 minutes because it has such a fluidity to it that it just goes from song to song to song to song. You almost don't even notice that the songs are ending and a new one is starting. That is the kind of fluidity that this album has. Time just really flies by. You honestly don't even notice the time. You don't even look at the clock. You probably will be surprised when you reach the last song, because it perhaps will feel like you've only been listening to the album for 20 or 30 minutes, but you're already an hour in. It is that good, and there's that much life and fluidity to it that really allows for you to immerse yourself into the album and really lose yourself in the music. Lyrically, the album is really about the rise and fall of civilization, and having that as a background to the lyrics of the album, the music really becomes the soundtrack of that of a movie, if you will. To me, this album really felt like a movie where each song is a scene of that movie, and then the music overall becomes the soundtrack of the movie. And just like in a movie where every scene is different, in this album every song is different. But then when you put them all together in a movie setting, different scenes create one movie, and in this case different songs create one album. So I really feel that there's a lot of parallels with the movie and this album. There's a lot of similarities between the two, and the way that this album was constructed to me really gave me that cinematic sense, and a lot of that comes through with a lot of the elements that Amorphis introduced in this album. And I'll tell you guys a few. For example, Kriegel from LVD, he plays the pipes on this album in a few songs. That was something new, and that was surprising to me, because I didn't know that they ever thought about a partnership like that. Pekka, the man behind the poetic lyrics of the album, plays the narrator. There's a piece in the song called Daughter of Hate, where there's a narrator that comes in to tell a little piece of the story, so like spoken word, and they used him and his voice. There's so much ominous in his voice, and they used him to tell that piece of the story, which I thought was really different, really unique and really different, because him being the person who wrote the lyrics obviously is going to bring a different emotion to that part, and I think they picked the right person for it. They used saxophone, they used orchestra and choir. This is the first time that Amorphis has used those elements in an album, and they didn't overuse it. That's to me the part that is key. They saw things that worked with their music, and just because it works, it doesn't mean that you have to overdo it on every single song of the album. No, they picked the right songs to use those elements in order to give extra life, extra layers to that song, without then becoming repetitive and starting introducing them on every other song. Which to me, these aspects, when you really put these aspects together, that's what allows the album to be great. This is what allows the album to have a life of its own, and this is what really gives the layers and the texture that this album has in order to make it such a unique and such a wonderful album. So all of these different components were there, and this is what I said in the beginning about the album feeling very cinematic. When you add pipes, when you add a narrator to one of the songs, when you add saxophone, when you add an orchestra, when you add a choir, all of these elements really give the songs a cinematic vibe to it. So then spread that out through 10 songs, spread that out through the album, and you really have an album that feels more like a spoken movie than just a regular metal album. And this album to me really has that cinematic vibe to it, and I think in my mind this is what makes this album absolutely over the top, and this is what gives grandeur to this whole album, is this whole cinematic vibe and the way they introduce these instruments, the narrator, the pipes, the choir, and then not overuse it, because normally that's where things go sideways, is when a band finds that this works for a song and really gives those extra layers and that extra thickness to the song. Well, why not incorporate it in another song, but they didn't do that. They didn't overdo it. They were smart, they were precise, almost like a surgeon. They picked their spots and where they wanted those elements to be, knowingly perfectly well that those elements would give life to those specific songs, and this would not be something that they would just pluck out of one song and then pluck in another. They really picked their spots. Obviously, Tommy's vocals in this album is absolutely over the charts. The man has an incredible voice. Like I normally say, he has the kind of voice that he could sell ice to the Eskimos. That's the kind of vocal delivery you're going to get in this album. Absolutely phenomenal. I love every musical, lyrical inch of this album. I cannot get enough of it. Now, as far as my favorite songs, there are three. I really, first of all, I had a hard time picking 3 songs because there's not one skippable song in the 10. All 10 are worth listening to. There are no fillers. There are no skippable songs. But I had to pick 3. I always pick 3 songs to digest them a little bit more, to really go into the nitty-gritty of those songs. And I picked these 3 because, to me, these 3 really perhaps give you a little bit of a microcosms of what the whole album is. And I'm going to start with the B. It's the first song of the album. It was the first single. It's, to me, going to be perhaps one of the songs of the year. This song is absolutely phenomenal. Nothing you guys don't know. Like I said, it was the first single. Everybody's familiar with the B. Incredible song. I really like the female siren voice at the beginning and then throughout the song. Almost like a mermaid calling the ships to come and hit the rocks by the seashore and kill all the sailors in that boat. Really had that vibe to it, that siren-like voice at the beginning and then throughout the song really adds so much melody to the song, combined with the synthesizer in the song really gives it so much melody. And then the vocal dynamic of having clean vocals and harsh vocals in the song, back and forth, almost feeling like a yin and a yang, a dark side and a light side, almost like a soul fighting for its own life between light and darkness. I really like the fact that they went that way, because it really gave the song life and it really made it feel like an inner struggle from within. I really like the dynamic between the harsh vocals and the clean vocals with that female siren-like voice in the background with the synthesizer. I think this song is one of those that you just cannot get enough of it. Absolutely amazing song. Another song that I have to mention that has some familiarities and it has some similarities to the B is the Golden Elk. I really love this song. It's a song that, like I said, it has a lot of the sounds from the B, especially in the synthesizer, but it adds different dynamics to this song because this song uses more orchestration, uses more of an orchestra in the background. There's a lot of orchestra elements in the background. The piano used in this song is absolutely phenomenal. But all of these give the song more of a folky vibe. Specifically in the middle of the song, there is an acoustic guitar solo right in the middle of the song that just really takes this song into a whole different world. It really becomes more of a folky song at some points, but it's not a folky song all the way through. But it has certain components that give the song more of a folky vibe, and I really like that. I also like really the way the song ends with the keyboard at the end, just kind of giving a little bit of darkness and despair at the end of the song. As the song fades away into oblivion, you hear these keyboard notes just kind of fading away with the song. beautifully done, really beautifully done. I really like the orchestration. I like the way they use the orchestra itself in this song. Like I said, there are some similarities to the beat in terms of the synthesizer, that female siren-like voice in the background, a little bit of that. There are some similarities, but it's a very different song, and this is what you're going to find in this album. There are some similarities in certain songs, but every song is very different. Last but not least, I have to say Amongst Stars. Anneke van Giebersbergen, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. I know her first name is Anneke, and her last name is Van Giersbergen. You know me, I'm not very good with names. She appears as a guest singer in this song, and her voice, my God, it's a compliment to Tommy's vocals. The dynamic between the two, it's so beautiful. It makes for such a beautiful song. They used Tommy's vocals in this song is predominantly clean vocals throughout. There are some key components with some harsher vocals, especially around the chorus, but it's very sporadic. They come in just almost like a pinch of salt in when the cook is making a meal. They just really sprinkle those harsh vocals just slightly here and there, just to give a couple of extra layers to the song, just for the song to gain a little bit more thickness, because Anneke's beautiful voice and Tommy's clean vocals are so melodic, and this song is so melodic that it really needed something to give a little bit extra to it. It really needed something to give, like I said, a couple of extra layers and a little bit of more thickness to the song, because it's so melodic, it could become over melodic. I really like what they did. I really like the fact that they didn't overuse the harsh vocals. They really just sprinkled them in. But the dynamic between Anneke and Tommy's, it's absolutely phenomenal. This is another one of those songs that has a lot of folky elements to it throughout the song. So those also add a lot of beauty to the song, and those paired up with the next vocals are absolutely phenomenal. This song has quickly become my favorite song of the album, because it almost feels, when you listen to this song, it almost feels like a power metal song, and then you have some folk elements in it. It really has a strange dynamic, if you will. It really almost feels like a power metal folk song, if you will. But it has so much life, it has so much melody, it has so much charisma, it has so much fluidity that it's impossible for you to listen to this song and be completely indifferent to it. Like I said, the main key component is really Anneke's vocals and how well they complement Tommy's vocals, Tommy's clean vocals. I really like the dynamic between the two, and then the fact that they sprinkled in some harsh vocals here and there, to me, was the cherry on top. One of the greatest songs of the album. I really enjoyed this song. This is it. This is Queen of Time from Amorphis. The band's 13th studio album comes out May 18th. Don't forget to pick it up. I highly recommend you guys picking up this album. In none of my reviews I've ever rated an album. If I was to rate this album 0 out of 10, I would give this album 11 on 0 out of 10. That's how much I enjoy this album. That's how much I like this album. That's how much I like what Amorphis did with this album. I highly recommend you guys picking it up. Now, I want to hear from you guys in the comment sections. I know you perhaps haven't heard the album yet. If you have heard the album, please let me know your thoughts on your favorite songs, your thoughts on how the song structures were created, your thoughts on the lyrics, on the use of pipes, on the use of saxophone, on the use of a choir, on the use of an orchestra, on the use of a narrator in Daughter of Hate. Please let me know your thoughts. I really want to hear what you have to say. If you haven't heard the album yet and you have some questions about the songs, the construction of the songs, please let me know in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Take care, guys.